Hello, I'm Casey Ramirez, uh, and I built a working lung. In order to build a working lung, I needed to first get a clear plastic bottle of some kind. I used an orange juice bottle, two balloons, a straw or two straws, a piece of clay, some rubber bands, some tape, and some cling wrap. Uh, I cut the bottle in a little bit less than half. I attached the balloons to the straws with the rubber bands. I then molded the clay so that only the straws would come through the top of the bottle, and pinched it off so air wouldn't go into the bottle through the top. I blew on the straws to make sure that they were tight enough to fill them with air and not blow them off. I took the cling wrap and wrapped it around, and then carefully taped the top with a fold with a single crease going down one side, and then I was able to twist this closed in order to create a good seal, able to mimic how a working one works diagram, to mimic our diaphragm with this cling wrap. Uh, I'm going to use this to teach sixth graders, and I will be following the content standards 4.1 and 4.4. 4.1 is to distinguish between effective or ineffective warm-up and cool-down techniques, and 4.4 is to classify physical activities as aerobic or anaerobic.
Cord.
So, with those content standards as a focus and using this lung diagram, I will be able to use it to mimic students' way their body will feel and work, depending if they have had that proper warm up or not, by simply either elongating the diaphragm and retwisting it, like so, or making it really tight, like so, demonstrating the differences between when they have a bad warm up, an ineffective warm up, or if they haven't warmed up at all, how well they can breathe, such as the balloons barely fill, or if after they get a proper warm up, how much more they'll be able to breathe well, as you can see with the balloons expanding greatly and being able to fully exhale. With that warm up idea in mind, the students will also be able to learn how aerobic versus anaerobic works, just as before with the tighter diaphragm or the looser diaphragm. That ability to have more change in pressure within, simulating their breathing, can help in helping them to determine what the proper amount of oxygen needed to continue aerobic exercise versus what happens as they start to delve into anaerobic exercises. I will, as before, have it real tight, and I will ask them what if they were to have run a sprint, what that breathing would look like. Would it look long and labored, or would it be really fast? The same thing if they were just sitting in class, how they breathe. Uh, that's how I use the lung diagram for uh, teaching the sixth grade students those standards. And then as far as trying to help them learn vocabulary that will help them understand the content standards, we would have to define aerobic versus anaerobic, as I have taken the time to label here. I would also like to talk to them about their trachea or their windpipe, what their lungs, their bronchioles look like when they're properly dilated or not dilated, the alveoli, the air sacs inside the lungs that help with the gas exchange, the diaphragm being the cling wrap in our diagram, and for fun, something like the epiglottis. That way they can really understand with that model what happens when they're having trouble breathing, with it being blocked, or if they're, or if, in the case of someone choking, what is actually happening, why that uh, windpipe is so important for warm-ups. Again, just to reiterate, the terms would be the bronchioles, the lung themselves, trachea, aerobic versus anaerobic, alveoli, and the diaphragm would be the most important vocabulary terms.